The Landsknechts, arguably some of Europe's most famous mercenaries, were not only sought after by the lords, but also by the ladies. These German mercenaries had the appeal of rough adventurers, but they too longed for the caring arms and the warmth in bed only a woman could provide. Landsknechts and women were an inseparable pairing, be it because of love or lust, the women of the baggage train or the camp, and the soldiers frequently found together. In this video, we are going to explore the relationship between women and men in and around Landsknechts-camps, how they helped each other out, and how they protected each other. Protection could of course take multiple forms, but one thing is clear. Today, much better options exist for that. NordVPN, for example, the sponsor of today's video. Nord specializes in cybersecurity, and at that, they're very good. It's always astonishing to me that so many people care so much about privacy, but on the internet, they're leaving a huge digital footprint. In a world run by algorithms, personal data becomes ever more valuable, meaning that VPNs are an absolute basic necessity these days. So here's a quick update what a VPN does. It acts as a tunnel for your data, which protects your online identity by hiding your IP address. When you're browsing through a VPN, your traffic is encrypted so no one can see what you do online. But why Nord? Nord has an incredible track record, doesn't slow down your browsing speed, is easy to use, works on all common devices, and most importantly, doesn't log your data, unlike many internet service providers. All of that is available to you with a 73% discount and 1 month for free if you use the link in the pinned comment or description. That means you get access to Nord for just $3.16 a month. And if you're unhappy, Nord always offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. So go check them out and help out our channel by using the link in the description and pinned comment. As all armies in the early modern period, the Landsknechts mercenaries needed a baggage train which provided them with supplies and services related to health, business, repairs and food. The baggage train was more than a mere market. It was where one looked for leisure time activities, such as gambling or drinking and much more. Not only was it the place where the ladies of the night were to be found, but also where social gatherings took place and the sexes intermingled. One can easily imagine that in the vivid environment of a field camp, far away from home, the lines between sutler, cook and mistress became blurred. Unfortunately, there is only very little evidence on how women joined the baggage train. The motivations may have been very similar to those driving men into military service. For that, check out our video on why men became soldiers. In the case of women with an explicit job, the sporadic evidence suggests that they won a certain degree of freedom when joining a field camp, and their job was much less stigmatized in a field camp in comparison to a city. So let's have a look at the commercial side of Landsknechts love. According to Reinhard Baumann, an expert on Landsknechts, selling sex in a Landsknechts-camp was not overly stigmatized, but rather accepted as a part of the camp life. Many authors of so-called Kriegsbücher, military handbooks, included the sustenance of camp women as something as natural as the pay of certain officers or the need for provisions. For example, two contemporary writers, Michael Ott and Jakob Preuss, noted in their Kriegsordnung, written in 1524, that besides craftsmen, every regiment needed women for daily tasks such as caregiving, sewing and cooking, and quote, 2 or 3 women who are every man's wife, end quote. These women were to be protected by the commander and received pay from the regiment. This attempt to institutionalize prostitution clearly shows that it was an integral part of a Landsknechts regiment. However, not all were of this opinion, and some even wanted to ban prostitution because of financial or pragmatic reasons. The physical appearance of female camp followers was rarely made to look beautiful. Contemporary depictions show that women were dressed pragmatically, fit for the life in camp and hard work. In most depictions, they wear similar shoes as the soldiers, and a functional skirt or dress, which looks similar to the Landsknechts garment. Their headdress varied from simple headscarves to an extravagant beret with feathers. Depictions often show the female camp followers carrying a bag or pouch and walking with a stick, which distinguished them as travelers. Only a handful of paintings underline feminine beauty and show women being admired, courted, or guarded by soldiers. So, how do we know whether a contemporary depiction shows a simple sutler or a woman who made her living commercially? Usually, you've got to watch for particular attributes added to these depictions by the artists. Easy women often bear signs of sensuality and conspicuousness, such as squirrels, roosters, or puppies on their shoulders or near them. An artist known for his interesting pictures of Landsknechts and their love is Albrecht Altdorfer. His paintings range from fictional scenes such as Landsknechts courting the goddess of love, Venus, to the very real image of a Landsknecht paying for the services of a lady. Now, let's look at an example of a real woman's story in a Landsknechts-camp. Entgen of Euskirchen was the daughter of day laborers from the German city of Bonn. In 1607, she left her family to travel around with a harlot in the region of Koblenz and Linz. For her early life, there is no evidence that Entgen worked in the red light business, but she seemingly appreciated the company of ladies of the night. Soon, she found a new travel companion in another lady by the compelling name the Ratcatcher. The two wandered to Cologne, Neuss, and Düsseldorf, and finally joined a regiment in the War of the Jülich Succession. In the camp, the two women ran an alehouse, and although we know nothing about a side business, it is highly probable that they didn't just sell beer. In a court case, she later on stated that she laid with a soldier for the first time when she was in Neuss with the Ratcatcher. Whatever her business model was in the camp, she had gotten there with some unambiguous experience. Long before the war ended, Entgen left the regiment with a soldier. In 1611, the two arrived in Cologne, where Entgen earned her living by selling herself on the streets. There, she clashed with the authorities, because street walking was not welcome in the city. She was put in jail and questioned in a court case, which is how we know about her life today. We learn from Entgen's life that the relationship between women and mercenaries can't be reduced to a bare matter of business. Many romantic relationships developed in field camps and on the march to the field of battle. Some of these involve just a bit of fun for a limited amount of time. Others might have been the beginning of a partnership for life. Landsknecht's love covered the whole spectrum, from a single one-night stand to marriage. Often, a Landsknecht or group of Landsknechts hired a woman to look after their equipment, to cook for them, and, if they got ill or wounded, to care for them. This did not necessarily involve sexual relationships, but it was not infrequent that romantic relationships and later marriage arose from these communities. Such relationships are hard to track because there are neither payrolls nor legal documents to give us more details. However, there are exceptions. For example, the case of a group of Landsknechts and their female company who started a quarrel with some civilians in a tavern in the town of Denkendorf in 1531. The currently unemployed soldiers and their women soon found themselves in trouble. They were taken to court and questioned. Their statements show that the four women were married to their companions. While these four marriages were official and confirmed by the church, this was certainly not always the case. More often, Landsknechts lived in what is called Maienehen. As the contemporary theologian and writer Sebastian Frank explains, this term refers to the relationships beginning in May but not lasting till winter. Loose and short-lived partnerships, that is. They were of varying durability and caused a great many quarrels. There were, of course, frictions between the loosely joined individuals, but also due to the fact that some Landsknechts were not exactly the faithful type. Far away from home, the temptation to replace the remote wife with a mistress or to seek the company of venal women was great, and some of them were caught in the act. While this is certainly the stuff for good comedy, it also had very serious implications. In 1574 and 1578 to 1579 respectively, Jakob Hannibal I, Duke of Hohenems, led 2 campaigns to the Low Countries. Several of his officers dissipated their money with the prostitutes of Flanders, while at home their wives were struggling to feed the children. However, some wives enjoyed the absence of their husbands too. A couple in which both parties got carried away was the captain Dietrich Zernitz and his wife. The captain was stationed in Antwerp and earned an extra coin by ripping his men off regarding pay and rations. He then spent this additional pocket money on the ladies of the camp. In the meantime, his spouse at home didn't do any better. She lived a boozy lifestyle and enjoyed a bit of company herself. Chance brought it about that Czernitz's superior had enough of his excesses and sent for his wife to come and bring him to his senses. The dear wife, however, was not able to travel, because she carried the unwanted souvenir of her own excesses. She was pregnant. While such cases are indeed entertaining, the reality for most marriages was harsh. Husbands and wives were sometimes separated for years. When the husband returned from their years of service, they brought back physical and psychological wounds. Many of them had a hard time reintegrating in everyday life. Many former Landsknechts suffered from impairments such as amputated limbs. Obviously, the free love of camp life had its drawbacks too. STDs were unwelcome but common souvenirs. They were often named after the enemy. For example, among Landsknechts, gonorrhea and syphilis were known as the French sickness. The spreading of sexual diseases in a time before the invention of contraceptive sheaths could lead to nasty forms of suffering. But all of this disappears in the way Landsknechts saw and thought about women, which is best documented in their music. Songs like Our Dear Women, The Landlord's Miss, or Fine Sweetheart expressed a longing for the love of the other sex. Women are referred to as beautiful, adorable, or loving mistresses. Delicate young lady, let my heart be commended to you begins a Landsknecht song about the Battle of Pavia. Like the author of this line, for sure, many mercenaries thought about the loving arms of a woman when they stepped forward to form a pike square in the face of the enemy, aware of the cruelties they were about to be facing. Landsknecht's love, whether romantic or commercial, existed in a harsh and rapidly changing environment. When death was lingering behind every corner, each happy hour in the camp could be the last. A lover could be gone from one moment to the next, killed in battle by a sickness or struck dead by a comrade after a quarrel over gambling. How love and sexuality were seen at the time inevitably differed compared to more peaceful times.